I think the only one that exists is won't. Because can't, that's that's bull. You can, you just got to figure out how to make it work. And can't is the excuse. Won't is the truth. So if you don't do something, it's because you won't do it. Not because you can't do it. There's a lot of people that, oh, well, I can't do this, or the system screwed me over, or I didn't get an opportunity to do this, or I didn't get an opportunity. No, you had it, you just didn't take it. And it's nothing like, there's nothing that makes me better than anybody out there. Nothing. The only thing is that I surround myself with good friends that have positive influences that actually contribute to my well-being.
What the hell's going on out here?
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fueled by Spite. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Taylor. With me today is Isaiah of Texas Custom Print. Don't search for it with an S. Isaiah comes to us, the majority, if you will. If you've been following along, he has great friends, lifelong friends. With the previous host, we had host, guest, whatever person, Jesse. So I found Jesse via Instagram. It's a wonderful interview if you want to check back. Isaiah being here is a lot of what we've been talking about, in that there's certain relationships that we build that we stick with. I mean, hell, your relationship with Jesse is the epitome of that.
Yes, for sure.
Tell them what you told me. How long have you and Jesse known each other? Don't worry, we'll make this about you soon enough.
So me and Jesse, we've been friends for it's going on 28 years. So we met in elementary school, grew up elementary school, middle school, high school, military. Now we work in the same shop and live probably about like 10, 15 minutes away from each other. And just is literally built a friendship that, it's kind of hard to come by nowadays.
So you went in at the same time. Did you get out at the same time? Did you serve in the same place?
He actually went in a year before
I
did.
And he's like, this is awesome. You got to come check it out.
Yeah. My older brother was in the Marines.
Okay.
And so, at the path that I was on, like, I wasn't about education at that point. I'm like, I'm just trying to get out of high school.
Yep.
Whatever. We tried to go to North Lake College for like 2-3 weeks. I'm like, yeah, this is not for me. This is not for me. And ended up joining. And I actually joined with our other like lifelong friend that we've known the same amount of time. I actually joined with him. So we both went in. We ended up going to we went to boot camp together. We went through MCT together. We went to our school, like our training school together, got stationed together, same unit, everything. So it was pretty cool to kind of go throughout that process with him the entire time.
So how'd you get from there to Texas Custom Print?
It's a weird journey. It's a really weird journey.
That should make for a great podcast.
So like, I was always, and it's probably something funny that you're going to learn for the first time, is when I was growing up, I was always the kid with a camera in my hand. I was always all about digital media, graphics, different stuff like that. I was always the one filming things. I think I'm trying to look for it, but I have a videotape. This was back when like Jackass
videotape.
Yeah, videotape. This was back when like Jackass was
all we watched.
Yeah, that's all we watched. And so we had made a video with me, Jesse, and a couple of our other friends, and we called it Jacked.
Okay.
Like a combination of Punk'd at the time.
Perfect.
And Jackass. And it was just us being stupid as kids.
Yep.
And so like it started really back then. I was actually using, to do graphics and stuff on the computer, I was using Microsoft Paint. So I don't even know if that's still around anymore.
Dude, that's a fine question. I can't answer it for you.
So started doing that. I've always been into it, pretty much all growing up. Whenever I was in the military, I actually started my degree while I was in the military. I'm like, okay, I learned the discipline now, and maybe I want to go to some college. I actually have a degree in film, which is pretty, when I tell that to people, they don't like, kind of catches them off guard. They don't really realize that I went to school for film, digital cinematography. I'm usually always behind the camera, never in front of it.
Right.
And so, editing, everything. Like I learned all of that all while being in the military, uh, just pretty much going through the whole process. And when I had gotten out, uh, I was kind of like transitioning. I held a couple administrative jobs and just really throughout that time found that the 9 to 5 really wasn't my cup of tea. It's not
Yeah.
something that I really wanted to really do. I was good at it, and it was stable, but it's one of those things like, okay, if I'm going to be miserable waking up every day,
Yeah.
then what's the point of doing that? And so, um, from that, I had actually started a an adult flag football league. So that was like my first business venture. Is I owned a flag football league called Mid Cities Flag Football,
Okay.
and just really started trying to market it. Different approach. We had uh, like we filmed every game, we took pictures of every game, we had stats in real time of the game. Like just at that time, it was kind of unique, and
What year
nobody
are we
was really.
talking here?
This was in 20. I started it in, I believe it was like the end of 2016, so going
Okay.
into 2017.
So relatively recent,
Yeah,
all things
yeah,
considered.
and it was funny because I came up with this idea with Jesse, and we were just sitting down drinking a few beers,
Yeah.
and I told him, I was like, I have this idea. Like, what's your take? What's your thought?
I bet I could throw a football over the mountains over
And
there.
yeah, and I showed him because like I had already done some legwork. I had created graphics for these teams that I wanted to start, and just the way I was structuring it. And he was like, "Man, go for it." And so I ended up doing it, and it was probably the best and worst decision that I made, and simply because on a youth, like, you have some, I guess, control, but with adults, man, it is crazy. Like, it
Uh-huh.
was just so much at the time, all while maintaining a full-time job,
That you didn't like?
yeah, full-time job that I didn't like, full-time husband, full-time dad. At the time, she was 3,
Mm-hmm.
or she was 4 whenever I really started all
Yep.
of this stuff, so, um
So you're still cutting peanut butter and jellies because you can't do that
yeah,
yet?
yeah, I mean, I'd probably eat half of them,
Yeah, that's fair.
but, uh, so I started doing that, and it just became, like, at one point, we started off, I would say, with, like, 4 or 5 teams
Oh,
the
damn.
first season, which was pretty good because
Yeah.
I had custom uniforms made and all this types of stuff, and I'd keep it as, like, a sales kit in my car.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm driving, even whenever I had my daughter and my wife in the car, if I'm driving and I see some people that are playing football or whatnot, I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna stop real quick."
Yeah.
And I'd pull over and I'd go in there and I'd start talking to them and show them and give them my business card, everything,
Yeah.
literally foot trafficking. And I was able to get that amount of people. It was a good amount. We did at like a small elementary school. And then from that season to the next season, we doubled in size. And it was a lot of these other teams like, "Hey, we have another team that
Mm-hmm.
likes it." And I would go scout other leagues, and I'd go over there, and if I saw a team that I think I liked that I wanted to join, I would literally give them a business card and be like, "Hey, we're doing our own thing. It's not to really poach players, but we're doing it at different times that these leagues are." Because
Yeah.
mainly a lot of them were rec leagues, or they were doing it like the spring and stuff. We're trying to do it when that season ended, so we
Fair.
captured all the players. We didn't interfere with their stuff, and it gave us a better opportunity to use fields because
Right.
that's another big
Oh, yeah, I
dilemma.
bet.
Um, and cities, the way they operate, they get first bid on
Yeah.
anything, so it just a political aspect, at that point. But um, I got them, and it just started to double in size, and everybody was loving it. There was a lot of things. It was buzzing. Uh, my wife was actually the one that was taking pictures of every game, and
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to play at the same time while doing all this. I was playing on a team. I was
So
playing
you're
for a team.
playing. You're a GM. You're a league commissioner,
Yes, everything.
uniform liaison, if you will. talents, Jesus Christ. Like they say, an entrepreneur wears a lot of hats. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So how do we get from a growing league to, so this is 2016, 17, maybe into 18.
Yeah.
Did you guys get like bit by COVID or what happened to the league?
We stopped in 2019.
Okay.
And so we were getting ready to have, we had a 2019 fall season. We were getting ready to go into a spring season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when COVID hit.
Yep.
And so COVID hit, stopped all sports, field usage was unavailable, couldn't have it anywhere.
And if you go outside, you might get sick.
Yeah. Well, that and just like the social distancing. And if you get caught, trying to play at like an elementary or something like that, that's kind of low key.
Uh-huh.
Then you're opening yourself up for trespassing and just all kinds of stuff. And so after talking with my wife about it, we were like, yeah, it's just not something I'm just going to pick back up. Like I loved it while it was going, but it was never meant to be something that was like I was going to do for the rest of my life. It was just a stepping stone to get used to being acclimated to what business was about, dealing with grown men, trying to ask this or complaining about referees or, whatever the case was. Like getting used to that was one of the biggest takeaways that I learned in business. And at that point, I was fairly good with social media on that point.
Yeah.
It's whenever I took a step back and I probably haven't posted anything on Facebook for like my own personal stuff in like probably 4 or 5 years.
That's awesome.
I only post or do anything that pertains to my business now.
Yeah.
And at certain points, like it was getting, so the custom apparel journey kind of started in between all that flag football stuff.
Yeah.
Because when I needed to cut costs on some of the stuff that we were doing, so like we gave all of our like champion winners, we gave them t-shirts and hats and like, championship gear.
Yep.
And so I started out doing that with like a vinyl cutter and everything and a heat press inside my house. Like it was taking up my dining room table and just everything. And so we started doing it. I started doing it then. And then it kind of transpired to, hey, a couple of my buddies were like, hey, you do like some t-shirts and stuff, right? I'm like, yeah, we do a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And so I started doing a lot of stuff for them. And then I'm like, okay, this could go somewhere. And at that point it was like, okay, the job that I was getting, it was kind of eating up my time. So I put all the other stuff on hold and started focusing on the job. This was a new job, still a job I didn't like, but it was a new job. So started focusing on
face,
that.
if you will. You got to show up.
Yeah, exactly. So we started like kind of focusing on that. And then I ended up getting a job with a customer. Well, let me backtrack. Before that, I started trying to do some screen printing. And I was doing screen printing from my house with like a little bitty exposure unit, a small like 1 to 2 color machine. I was using a heat gun to dry it, everything. Just like I was making the screens because you have to use emulsion and things like that. I was using, all the right stuff, but I was doing it in my kitchen. I was like leaving the lights on.
Drying racks everywhere.
Yeah, like nobody go into the kitchen because you're going to mess up my screen, stuff like that. And then I would I didn't have a power washer or anything, so I would go to a car wash and use the power washer to blow out the screen, to clean it up and everything so I could use it for screen
printing. Honey, where are
printing.
the quarters?
Yeah, literally. And my wife was right there with me doing it. Like,
fuck yeah, dude.
She was, from the very beginning, she's been all about it. Like all about helping me try to accomplish what I want and, to get where I want to be. And so we started doing that, doing a little bit of that. I then ended up trying to see if I can dabble into the industry.
Yeah.
So I got a job as a graphic designer for a bigger custom apparel manufacturing company out here. I won't name the name because we're
competitors now.
Yeah, we're competitors now.
That's fair.
So I got a job as a graphic designer. I was designing a lot of the sports uniforms, things like that. And it was kind of the transition that was still through COVID a little bit. So this was like all happening very, very fast.
Yeah.
And I ended up leaving there because they were making some cutbacks and, previous management didn't really like me because I wasn't intimidated easy or something, I don't know, but I ended up leaving. And then later on, the owner, I went over there and I had a conversation with him and told him, I'd be interested in coming back. Like this was more of what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But if I came back, I didn't want to be a graphic designer. I wanted to run the entire shop.
Yeah.
And so he gave me a shot. And I mean, I helped turn around that company, pretty good, pretty thoroughly. Gained a lot of knowledge, gained a lot of experience. I wasn't even an owner, but I was like doing everything I could. There's times I would show up at like 6 in the morning,
Yeah.
leave at like midnight. And, even at some points I was like, make sure you pay all those guys that are actually doing the work. I will delay my check for a week or
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks, or I'll take a pay cut to make sure we have enough money to get somebody else in here to do stuff.
Right.
So I really acted and operated as, a potential owner.
Yeah.
And, after some time, I just kind of felt like it was my time to kind of branch out on my own, gain the skills and knowledge that I did from that. And, I wanted to kind of do the same thing. And that's now what ultimately led to Texas Custom Print
Yeah.
is.
You liked what you were doing. You just want to do it for yourself instead of somebody else.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's funny enough. Like I heard this quote over the weekend, and I think you kind of just embodied it. And it was something to the effect of, if you want to buy something without looking at the price tag, you have to work without looking at the clock.
Yep.
And I mean, hell, like it's surprising. I'm actually, I just brought on a new person here, and it was a very similar situation in that the amount, myriad of reasons, but long story less long, the amount that the person wanted to be paid was not reflected in the work that they were doing. Like, okay, well, I mean, I understand like the value and everything that you say you should be paid for, but that's not what the product that you're offering is, if you know what I mean. So you left that place, you got the experience, you left the place. Did you go right back into putting them out of your kitchen and everything, or is that when you got into the new place? Or because again,
So,
how long have you been in your new shop right now?
I moved into the shop in, I would say, April.
Okay,
April
so
of
brand new,
this
still
year.
smells of new paint,
Yeah.
and chemicals.
Yeah, pretty much.
So how did we get from leaving the place to having your new space?
So while I was working still at, the other place, I was doing all the background work for
Mm-hmm.
my company.
Yep.
Um, and I'd done a lot of things that I wanted to implement and use there
Mm-hmm.
that ownership and management just they weren't utilizing that stuff correctly.
Yep.
And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna do this for mine then. So I started really putting like just my price sheets, just basic things in place. And I started essentially, when I ended up leaving, I did everything basically back from home. I bought a heat press, was doing it all there. I, at that time, was operating as like a brokerage where I would get the job and I established, while in the industry, I established good relationships with other companies that did the work that, I was offering.
Yep.
And so I would essentially outsource it to them. Pretty much throughout that entire first year, I was outsourcing it to, my different contacts and whatnot that were actually doing the work. And so being able to kind of be the middleman of navigating those things while still maintaining like fair prices and
Mm-hmm.
just uh down to earth like customer service. That's really what my biggest thing that I try to embody is the customer service. Like
Yep.
especially during that time, like all I had to offer was my customer service because I wasn't doing the work myself.
Right.
I had, other companies that I would hire to do the work. So I mean it's typical in all types of
Yep.
business. But it was really about communicating with the customer, letting them know, updating them what's going on, what status we're in, things like that. And then I was talking with Jesse, and he kind of knew the journey that I was going on, because we actually, and what's crazy, and this is something that we laugh at, and I didn't give two shits. I was like, it's just a crock of shit. When you speak something into existence is definitely a true thing, because at one point, um, I think it was like probably April or May timeframe
Okay.
last year, that me and Jesse had a conversation outside in the parking lot where I used to work, because he would go there and get his stuff done.
Yep.
And we had a conversation like, hey, wouldn't that be cool if we were like working, side by side? I was doing my thing and you were doing yours. And I mean, here we are, fast forward almost a year and a half, and we're in the same spot together. And I'm doing my thing and he's doing his. And a lot of the clientele that I'm targeting as, kind of my niche is the trades industry. And that really, resonates with him, because one, every customer that he gets into the shop, he will ask him just straight up the top, hey, do you have a logo? Like, do you have apparel, stuff like that? And then he'll take them into our showroom and just really show him around. I don't even have to do anything. He just literally says, hey, this is Isaiah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, hey, get up. Nice to meet you. And let him do everything. And he pretty much sells the job. And so, I mean, we really looked at it like trades it's an underserved market. And it's
Interesting.
It's a very, I guess, non-sexy, job.
That's fair.
And that's something that Jesse had got me on, is that, man, you go out there and you see these guys in 110-degree heat and hotter, and they're over there kicking ass working. And, they're always decked out. You always see them with like safety vests and stuff like that. And I was like, well, why don't I make that one of my niches? It complements you. It complements me.
Yeah.
And, that's probably the three biggest markets that we target is teams. So whether that's a corporate team, that's a trade team, or an actual sports team. Like those are the three markets that we target in all of our custom apparel. And so it really just transpired from talking about it to, actually pulling the trigger on it and doing it. That's the biggest thing. But really speaking it into fruition is where it started. It's just saying it and then actually taking the steps to do something, not just, oh, this sounded like a good idea.
Not just happy thoughts and collages and shit put down on paper, like actually doing the damn thing.
Yeah, and I mean, if you ask my wife, she has probably a laundry list of business ideas that I'm like, hey, what would be cool? And I'm like talking her ear off on a drive or something, and she's just like, okay, yes, that would be awesome. And like, you can tell when she gets enthusiastic about something, because she actually talks back to me. And she's like, yeah, you could do this. And usually it's the business ideas that she stays quiet. I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work. But I mean, really, I would say probably the biggest two reasons though that I am, doing what I'm doing now is the support that I've gotten from my immediate family, my wife, my daughter. My daughter's like a walking billboard. I would send her to school in like custom shirts and things like that. And she's over there. She's like, yeah, my dad does this. And then she starts talking to her teachers, and then teachers try to contact me. So
yeah, dude, first day of school outfit. That's a tax write-off now.
Exactly. And so, I mean, she's always been like that. My wife, I mean, she is, I couldn't ask for anybody better. Like, she is my entire support system. Like, I wouldn't be doing half as good or, decent as I'm doing now if it wasn't for her support. Because through all of this, so my film degree,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so like I went to school partially in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever I got out and was transitioning out, I put it on the back burner. I basically took a leave of absence
Yeah.
because I was just transitioning, so many things going on.
Yep.
Well, I didn't pick it back up until COVID. I was like,
Oh,
why
damn.
not? And I started in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped in like 2013. So I didn't realize whenever I stopped, I was 6 months away from graduating.
Oh, fuck.
I didn't realize that. And so I talked to my wife and I was like, you know what? I want to go because I want to finish it.
Yeah.
Like I want to finish something that I started. And so I ended up going, doing everything, and I could do it online. So I finished it online,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to do, instead of it being 6 months, there were some classes that changed. So
Yeah.
I had to do a year. And during that time, I wanted to pursue a different degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to one school for one thing to finish up that degree, and I started another school to start my business degree.
Oh, damn.
And so at that point during COVID, I didn't have a job for like a small period of time. I
Yeah.
ended up getting a job, so I was doing full-time dad, full-time, husband,
Mm-hmm.
full-time job, going to 2 schools,
Yeah.
just trying to balance my time and at the same time try to start accomplishing my dream. And so throughout this whole portion, like I wouldn't be able to do anything if it wasn't for my wife. Like being able to say, go ahead and take care of what you got to take care of. I'm gonna cook, I'm gonna clean, I'm gonna take care of our daughter, everything. So, I mean, she's the rock. And I just finished my bachelor's degree for business
Hell yeah, dude.
on August 5th of this year. So,
Dude, that was 2 weeks ago.
that was literally
Congrats,
2
man.
weeks ago. I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
And so it's just been, it's been a hell of a journey.
So kind of on this topic, but nothing to do with the pre-show talk we had. Why are you able to do that? Why? Because there are so many people out there that will start something and for whatever reason stop and not go pick it up again. There's so many people out there that will have dreams and aspirations of things they want to do, but just can't, won't, or don't. Why? Either A, why were you able to do that? Or B, maybe, why do you think other people can't, won't, or don't?
I think the only one that exists is won't. Because can't, that's bull. You can, you just got to figure out how to make it work. And, can't is the excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Won't is the truth. So if you don't do something, it's because you won't do it. Not because you can't do it. There's a lot of people that, oh, well, I can't do this, or, the system screwed me over, or I didn't get an opportunity to do this, or I didn't get an opportunity. No, you had it. You just didn't take it. And it's nothing like, there's nothing that makes me better than anybody out there. Nothing. The only thing is that I surround myself with good friends that have positive influences that actually contribute to my well-being. Jesse, being a big part of that is like, hey, you need to. One thing I love about Jesse is he would tell me the shit I don't want to hear. He would tell it to me in a heartbeat.
That's a good friend.
And expect it like, hey, it's not going to affect our relationship. Like, so I can sit here and tell you, and I can rag you, and I can beat you down, and then give you a beer the next moment and say, hey, we got this.
Yeah.
And so, my buddy Lee is the exact same way. And so Jesse's always been like a dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of got and molded myself to do that. Like I've seen him go up against certain things, and he's gone through the ringer of a lot of stuff. And it seemed bleak. It seemed like there was no hope, or, he can't do it. And he always found a way to make it happen. And that's who I surrounded myself with.
Yep.
And eventually, there's this saying, if you hang around, 5 successful people, you're going to be the 6th.
Yep.
Well, it's true. If you hang around people that can bring something positive to your life, even if it's not helping you with money or anything, but just encouragement, like that's everything. And so, I don't think it's a matter of can't or, anything. It's just, you won't do it. And if you really want something bad enough, it can be achieved. Like it was hard as hell for me. There's times I told my wife, I'm like, I'm up at 2 or 3 in the morning doing schoolwork, having to be at work at 8, 9 o'clock but that's the time I'm uninterrupted because y'all are asleep, so I don't have to deal with you.
Yeah.
And then my daughter's asleep, so I don't necessarily have to, make sure she's good. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
my time. So I just found ways to make it work. And, now, finished my second degree. So I have 2 degrees, one in film, one in business.
Yeah.
And I utilized all of that to try to do what I'm doing now, which is, I'm doing more of like the graphic and the custom apparel side, but that helps me in marketing. The business obviously helps me run the business. I learned a lot of stuff. And so it's a combination of everything I've learned over a period of time and finding a way to make it work for you the way you want it to.
So I'm gonna go off a question then on something you learned, because man, it's just a matter of won't, because you can. That was awesome. There's gonna be people when you make these decisions that you realize that you decide, no, it's just won't, and won't is an option, so I'm going to. There's gonna be people you run across, maybe people that are in your life at that point in time that will try and pull you back into the won't, pull you back into the can't. How have you handled those people, and kind of going along in the, like, you are the company you keep? You kind of spoke to that. How do you handle it, man? How do you handle not keeping them as company?
Really, it's just, and I told my wife this, like, if you don't have something to contribute to my life, you ain't gonna be in it. Period. Whether that's just words of encouragement or, hey, I need to talk. You got, 5 minutes that are free or something like that. Just vent, whatever it is. If you don't have something to bring to my life personally, then I don't feel like I necessarily need you around because when I reach out, you're reaching out for help or for guidance or something that you don't have yourself
Mm-hmm.
or that you need. And if that other person that you're reaching out to doesn't have that either, why reach out to them? And so I've always kept my circle small,
Yeah.
and a lot of it is I had a lot of people that at one point, I was just wild and just, doing whatever I wanted and didn't have no repercussions. And I saw that hanging around those types of people doesn't add value to your life, especially if you have goals and aspirations. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and this is come so far from me leaving, college at 18 after like 2 weeks and like, yeah, whatever, fuck this, to now like I got that and maybe it's a combination of the military instilled discipline in me
Mm-hmm.
and kind of changed my whole perspective of thinking and the way I processed. And so really, I mean, it's to me, it's about keep the people in your life that can bring you positivity. And if you have those, negativity loves company.
Yeah, it does.
And so if you're around people that don't have anything good to say or um, they're not positive about any situation, no matter what it is, that takes a toll and that starts
Mm-hmm.
affecting you. Like your morale changes and you start adapting the sense of what that person is going through. Maybe you start feeling like, I, I
I
can't,
mean,
I won't.
there's a physiological, like, it's come up in other interviews and other at least episodes. Like, as a chiropractor, I've got some people that come in here and I'm not going to get them well. Like, I'm a really fucking good chiropractor. I'm not going to get them well, because if I get them well, then they get nothing to talk about. Like, their pain is their identity. But it's, whether it's pain, whether it's just a shitty attitude, whether it's a pessimistic thing. Like, we've got some people that just, man, they just suck to be around, because it's always like they have a knack at finding the negative and hanging on to that. But like you're saying, like, that's in no way, shape, or form does that contribute anything positive to the well being, to the surrounding, to the relationship. What do you what do you do to keep that up here? Because that in and of itself is a struggle, generally speaking, positive to a fault. Like, I'm really good at finding the glass half full perspective, the silver lining, things like that. And especially in the face of somebody who's super negative, that's annoying to them. That's It's not something that they can grasp or comprehend all the time. But I personally do like a lot of things to keep that frame of mind, like whether it be outside influence of people or books or podcasts or just like how do you do it? How do you
Mm,
stay positive? How do you have something good to contribute all the time, even when there's nobody else around to contribute it to? How do you do it up here?
it's only like that now because I wasn't always like that. I wasn't a super negative person, but
Mhm.
I tend to like I had the tendency to doubt myself on a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And so that was one of the biggest challenges that I had to overcome was to really like figure out, okay, why am I acting like the end of the world?
Mhm.
What is it about it that makes me feel like I can't overcome this? And that's stems to personal growth. And one of the persons that stemmed in the personal growth journey for me was, my two best friends, Jesse and Lee.
Mhm.
You know, Lee, he always positive. He was the one I actually went into the military with,
Yep.
so we were stationed together, all that. And so he's always, been encouraging and like, hey man, you got this, like you're good. And Jesse was always like, I don't know, man, you're pretty like you're pretty negative in this situation, dude. Like you need to change that way of thinking. You need to snap out of that. You need to um, change the perspective of things. And even still to this day, like there's times I kind of doubt myself or I'm like on the fence and you know, Jesse pops his little head in and is like, "Hey." I'm like, "Oh, what's up, man?" And then my day just brightens up from him
Yeah.
being there, and my whole attitude changes. And that's just like the type of person he is. He's so supportive. But him out of all people have kind of helped me grow on that journey, like being a better person, better characteristics, ownership, just trying to train yourself to be positive in every situation. And if there's a situation that comes up that you feel is bleak, it's okay to ask for help.
Mhm.
And it may not be in the form of money, it may not be in the form of any type of assistance other than just words of encouragement.
Yeah.
And he's really helped me through that journey along with, my wife. Like she was like, "God, you're so fucking negative. Jeez, you're so annoying." And I'm like, I'm standing there hurt, like, damn, she just called me annoying, but it's all because when I step back and I'm like, damn, I was pretty negative in that situation. Like, let me not be like that again, or let me see what I did or what made me feel that way, and
Yeah.
let's try to avoid that. And so,
Took a while to gain that skill in and of
yeah,
itself, didn't it? To be able to
yeah,
look back
and I
at
mean,
yourself
it's
like, "Oh shit, I was an
absolutely,
ass." Or
yeah, yeah, and it kind of takes the you kind of have to take the approach like I don't give a shit what anybody thinks of me. If you call me an asshole, thank you. I appreciate that. I take
Mhm.
pride in that because that means I'm looking out for myself personally. And if to me that's the biggest step in your own growth journey is where you stop paying attention to the people that what they say about you or letting certain things get to you so bad to where it changes your attitude
Mhm.
or it causes doubt that wasn't even there to begin with. Like you have to diminish that in order to really, I guess, grasp the concept of self growth. And I mean, it's a journey that I'm nowhere near even done with myself. But
You think it'll ever be done?
no,
No.
I mean, it's like business. Like you always want more.
Yep.
And in that, I mean, I'm not. I don't go to church. I'm not like real big on stuff like that. I need to do right by me, right by my family, right by my close friends.
Mhm.
And now with my customers. And so
And the thing is, whoever meets us at the end, if there's somebody there, if we did right by everybody, whoever is
yeah.
there, I'm sure they'll be all right with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Jesse, he had sent me a message the other day. He's like, man, I mean, literally in a text message, he's like, between me and you, he's like, dude, you've made strides on just personal growth. And it's one of those things where I saw it and I smiled. I'm like, damn, you know what? I have. But it's also about recognizing, back to kind of what you were saying, like, why shouldn't I be enthusiastic? Why shouldn't I be proud of myself
Mhm.
for achieving? And, you know, for me, I look back at it, yeah, I'm nowhere near where I want to be at all. My company's still early on.
Yeah.
We're not making millions of dollars and things like that, but
Yet.
I don't need to make $1 million. I need to make enough to take care of my bills, take care of my family, and enjoy my life. That's all I need. And in the process, if I can take care of some customers and help improve maybe their businesses through apparel or just advice, hey,
Dude, that's
I'm good with
awesome.
that.
So let's hypothetically, there's somebody out there watching this who wants you to make $1 million and they want to contribute to
Yes, sir.
that fund. How do they find you?
Well, we have our Instagram, Texas Custom Print.
No S.
Yeah, no S. Texas is, I think it's spelled all the way out. We're trying to get the, it's because our website
Get the handle
is,
right
yeah,
and get all the continuity of all the stuff.
our website is TX Custom Print because Texas, the word Texas was taken.
Yep.
We're in the process right now of acquiring it, so we'll have
all
that.
right.
But we have our Facebook, we have our Instagram. We just recently set up a TikTok because we're going to be doing some crazy, funny videos. That's where my background and
are you going back to Jacked?
You know what? We thought about the mentality, like kind of a lot of what our commercials are going to be modeled off of is spoofs of big popular commercials, like the Mayhem guy. Like we're going to make some kind of like that, or the State Farm commercials. We're going to do funny stuff like that.
I'm a hot chick out for a jog trying to make sure this stays a 10.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're going to start making some videos and we want to post funny content. Humor is always a easy path to people.
Yep.
If you can make them laugh, you have a chance at, at anything. And so
Texas Custom Print or
Texas
TX Custom Print.
For our website, www.txcustomprint.com. Our Facebook is just Texas Custom Print. Our Instagram is Texas Custom Print. And how we got that name as an LLC is, it was just meant to be.
It
was at that time, it was just meant to be.
Dude, that's awesome.
And so, I mean, it's just been a huge, huge journey for me. And I mean, we haven't even really scratched the surface.
Oh yeah, dude.
Of anything.
Isaiah, man, dude, I appreciate you taking the time. This was fun. Dude, these are the conversations I like to have too, because like we didn't come here to talk about your shirts all the time. We were talking about how you got here and the stuff that people go through in starting a business. And then what's going to happen is someone's going to watch this or someone's going to listen to this and be like, I like the way he sounds. I like the way he thinks. So I want to do business with him. Like, it's not like these are shirts. They look fucking great. But we do. You talked. All you did was talked about relationships the whole time, and that's all business is. It's relationships.
I mean, it really is. And like, if there's one last thing for anybody, that may be watching this or eventually watches it, is if you need help getting started in certain things, don't be afraid to ask the people around you, because for me, like I have people that reoccur, they're customers of mine, but they're friends.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that they tell me, and every single one of them does, is I've been in your shoes. I've been there. I've done that.
Yep.
And so when you find those types of people, those are the ones that you really want to start building relationships with. I had a guy that he was my daughter's soccer coach, that he had a hand in helping me get my business off the ground. And it was nothing more of establishing a relationship.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure he didn't mind, having my daughter on the team, knowing that they would get free custom uniforms, but it's just,
there's give and take in every relationship.
Yeah, it's just network, surround yourself by like-minded people and the people who understand the journey that you want to go on, that may have already gone on that journey.
I mean, there's so much truth, and I'm sure you've heard stuff like this many times over, but generally speaking, the people that are doing better than you or that are like above you, if you will never try and stop you. It's always the people below you.
Nobody's above me. They're a step ahead of me.
Love it. Fuck yeah, dude.
So that's awesome. Kind of the way I look at it. Like, I may not be there yet, but it's in the path.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of time before I get there.
Dude, I appreciate the time today. Guys, like I say every single time, you will learn more here by accident than elsewhere by design. And I think you can attest to this. Prior to this episode, there are probably two types of people out there. There are people who are idiots or people who are just uninformed. At least now people can say they're no longer uninformed.
Absolutely.
Isaiah, man, appreciate the time. Texas Custom Print. Look them up. Check their stuff out. Where's your shop at? If people want to check out your brand spanking new showroom.
Yeah, we're located in Richland Hills. We're actually in the same space as Texas Construction and Texas Construction School. So I mean, literally, we just same everything. We're subleasing a space from them. So
perfect.
We have our own little entrance, everything. They can see what we have to offer, and we got we'd love to have everybody over
Awesome,
there.
man. Thanks for your time. Guys, like, share, follow. Another episode of Fueled by Spite. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, however you're getting onto this. You guys have a great rest of your day. Take it easy.